والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
I've got a question here, and the question is about teaching our children, Sheikh. When it comes to teaching our children, where do we start in teaching them? What do we start in teaching them? Especially about what's going on now.
Brother Muhammad brought a very important issue. Since September the 11th, the West, particularly North America, in alliance with the Zionists, are working on changing the syllabus and the curriculums of the schools in the Muslim countries. Not only in the, they cannot do that in the schools in the US, for instance, or in the West, but they have managed. I'm not saying that they failed or they're still working on it. No, they have managed big time changing the curriculums. For instance, when I was in middle school, in Al-Azhar, in high school, we got to study in details the relationship between Muslims and the children of Israel, the Jews and the Christians and the different faiths. We got to study in details the different battles that the Prophet ﷺ fought against them. And why did the Prophet ﷺ force them out of Al-Madinah? We got to study all of that in details, particularly the Battle of Khaybar, which the Jews know very well about it. And now, many Muslims, I would not be exaggerating if I say, most Muslims have no clue whatsoever about these battles. Why? It has been eliminated from the curriculums. To the point that they were working on eliminating the verses which are addressing them in the Quran. And we have seen recently a new Quran, they've called it the new Furqan, okay, which they have failed, spending millions and millions and millions of dollars in order to change the belief and the creed of the Muslims. But you know what? Let me give you this bishara, the good news for the Muslims and the terrible news for the enemies of Islam. Why Allah, if you spend the entire wealth that exists on earth, and all the treasures that you have in your hands and in the hands of others, all the oil in the Arabic countries and the Muslim countries, if you spend the entire wealth in order to change one verse, one letter, one word in the Quran, by Allah, you will never be able to do that. Because now, Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, Allah did not entrust any ruler, any Muslim ruler, or any king or sultan or a president with the preservation of the Quran. No. Rather, He took charge of preserving the Quran by Himself. He said, Azza wa Jal, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. So even if you bring all the copies of the Quran and burn them, the Quran is still preserved in the hearts of millions of the children of Muslims. Adults, elders, the Quran is preserved until the Day of Judgment. That is the only authentic book on earth, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we're talking about teaching our children, if the schools and educational committees in some Muslim countries manage to eliminate the facts from some of the curriculums, fine. We still have the Quran, which will never change. No one can ever change it. Just study the Quran. And how do you explain the verses of the Quran? With the sound sunnah. As I will repeatedly remind myself and the viewers, that the Prophet ﷺ said there is only one rescue boat in dilemmas, in turbulent times like these, and even worse. He said, the book of Allah and my sunnah. If you hold fast to them, you will never go astray. So let's begin with, I recommend for the viewers, beginners for instance, to study a beautiful book by Safi Rahman al-Mubarakafuri, may Allah have mercy on him, an Indian scholar who wrote a beautiful summary on the biography of the Prophet ﷺ. Fantastic summary. Wherever I go, whenever I teach this book, in this brief summary, it's very attractive to youngsters, to adults, to everybody. It's called Al-Rahiq al-Makhtum, the seal nectar, concerning the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the biography of the Prophet ﷺ. And that would cover the Meccan era, then his migration, and the Medina era, and his relations with the other people, such as the Jews and Christians and others, and how he dealt with them, how he dealt with his friends, how he dealt with his enemies. All of that is explained in details in one book. If you need further more explanation, there is a book of Zadul Ma'ad by Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, in different volumes, sometimes 4 or 6. So if you want to expand furthermore, but I advise you to begin with a small thing. Then study surahs such as Surah Al-Hashr. Study the last 3 paras of the Quran. Then study Surah Al-Baqarah. Memorize certain verses, or memorize, make a commitment. In this tough time, you want to support the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to benefit yourself. Okay, back to the Quran. Back to the Sunnah. Number 1, let's learn how to read the Quran properly. Number 2, understand the meaning of what we read. Many communities are concerned more about the voice, about the recitation. They recited in parties, whether good or sad events, in parties, in funerals. But when it comes to understanding the meaning, there is no such understanding. They just applaud the good voice. No. Recite, memorize, understand the meaning. And if there is a verse that attracts your attention, then study furthermore. Alhamdulillah wa shukrulillah. Our deen is the best religion and is the most fantastic with regards to references. Because if Shaykh Muhammad says, I believe this verse means this and that, it is not out of my whim or desire. I have to support that with a reference. I said, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, and his father said so and so and so, based on the explanation of the Prophet ﷺ or the Quran itself. So, dear viewers, dear Muslim brothers and sisters everywhere, and non-Muslims as well, read the Quran, and most specifically, read the interpretation and the tafsir of the Quran. You will find yourself a newborn. You will definitely come to Islam once again.